Hey everyone, it's Monday night. It's time for the Premodern Showdown series. I am Michael Hoyp. I'm here with Flint. Say hi, Flint.
Hey, everybody, welcome.
We are excited for another episode. We had our first week last week and we saw all of our 8 players play. And so the decks have been revealed, and now we kind of get to settle in and see how things are shaping up. Players might take an early lead and have a good lead for the making the playoff. But we're going to talk about the matchup we have tonight, and we're starting off with Robin against Mike. So I'm going to bring up the decks for them. All right. So here, the first deck for Robin is Full English Breakfast. Do you want to say a few words about this deck, Flint?
Yeah, if you tuned in last week, I was very excited about this deck. It's a really fun one to play. Lots of lines. Even if you don't play it optimally, you can still win. Basically, you're trying to abuse Survival of the Fittest and Volrath's Shapeshifter to do a lot of broken things, either kill him with Phage or go infinite, well, just about infinite with Devour, and then turn it into a Triskelion.
All right. And the next deck he has is the Rock. So I'll just say a quick few words. It's just a solid black-green control deck. I really like it for this type of tournament because it's one of those decks where you always feel like you have a shot, and I kind of like that agency. Is it feels better to feel like you've made a mistake if you're going to lose as compared to just your deck letting you down, and I feel like the Rock's just a good solid choice.
Absolutely.
And the last is Zombies. You want to talk about this one, Flint?
Yeah, it's a really fast aggro deck that also has a little bit of long game against removal. So, what if Robin plays this deck? He's really hoping to play some early disruption with a duress, get some fast zombies out on the board, and then close out the game really quickly with Shepherd of Rot, which taps and each player loses 1 life for each zombie in play, or a Gem Palm Polluter to cycle it to have the player lose life. They can go long game as well with Rotlung Reanimator and with Lord of the Undead to recur zombies, or even a Tombstone Stairwell as well. It's a pretty resilient deck, but it needs a critical mass of zombies to function. So if you want to take the deck out, you've got to really get their zombies off the table sooner rather than later.
Okay, I'll pull up the decks for Mike. So the first one here we have is Cognivore Oath. So we've seen an Oath of Druids list played last week Monday by Andrew, but this list is a lot different. It's much more permission based. It's much more of a blue deck with Oath of Druids, and it's just looking to oath up Cognivore is the only creature card, and that is a Lurgoyf where the power and toughness are equal to the number of the instants in all graveyards, and there's a lot of instants in this deck. So this deck has counter spells, removal, card draw, and it also has a Cunning Wish package. So you'll see the sideboard has a bunch of 1-ofs, and it has access to Funeral Pyre, which is a way to put tokens into play under your opponent's control, so you can trigger Oath against a number of those decks that don't have any creatures. The second one is the Zoo-Gro. Do you want to say some words about this, Flint?
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. A really fast deck, fast 1-drop creatures, but then some damage to go over the top with Lightning Bolt, some disruption in duress, and with the Winter Orbs as well. It can kill you very quickly if you don't interact with it, and it has a little bit of long game against other creatures with the Aquarian Dryads as well. Overall, it's kind of a combination between a Zoo deck and a Gro deck.
All right. there were a lot of people who were excited when I posted this list on Facebook today.
Yes,
So
there were.
I think people are rooting for this one to get picked. And then wUgNought is kind of one of Mike's well-known decks. He's a well-known Stifle Knot player. So this one chooses green, and that those supplements with creatures like Nimble Mongoose and Werebear. And the thing I like about that is you're not all in on Stifle Knot. If the deck can answer the 1 mana 12/12 with a lot of versions, you're kind of just churning through your deck and trying to set up for the next one. This one can attack with Werebears or Nimble Mongoose, which are likely to get Threshold. So I like that aspect of this deck. So we'll go over to the bans. So if you're not familiar with how our format works at the Premodern Showdown series, is the players know their opponent's decks, and they each are going to choose one deck to ban from their opponent. And they decide that independently, and then a deck is banned. And then they're able to choose one of their 2 remaining decks to take into battle tonight. So Flint, if you were in Robin's position, you're looking at Mike's deck of the Stifle Knot, the Oath of Druids with Cognivore, and the Zoo-Gro deck. Which one do you think you're going to ban?
If I'm banning one of Mike's decks?
Yes.
I think I would probably ban the Dreadnought deck and hope to play the Rock. But if the Rock gets banned, I'd hope to maybe play Full English Breakfast.
Okay. I have a little bit of advantage as I did some prep work with Robin, and it sounded like the games that he played against the Stifle Knot deck, I think he was kind of comfortable with. So I think he's actually going to ban the Zoo-Gro deck.
Oh no!
And so, if you were from Mike's perspective, I guess I'll say my words first. I think I would just ban the Rock. I think because it has the tools to answer all 3 decks, and if you ban that, then you at least kind of are able to narrow down what you think your opponent's going to play and try and get an advantage that way. So if I were Mike, I'd be banning the Rock.
I agree 100%. I mean, the Rock's got game against just about everything, so it's a solid ban in my opinion. And then I think I would hope to play Grojund or the Stifle Knot deck. And so I think if Grojund does get banned, then we'll probably see the Stifle Knot deck from Mike. But we'll see.
So before we jump to the match, we're just going to do a quick screen. We have some information about the players that are playing tonight. Let me restart this one. So I wanted to.
No.
Okay, so here's the tab for Robin. So we asked the participants some questions, and we just thought this would be a nice way to kind of get to know the players. I know you guys might feel like you're seeing and hearing a lot from us, but the players are the ones we want you guys to connect with. So Robin said that his favorite color is black, and his favorite card is Cabal Therapy, which I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. Favorite ice cream flavor he listed as pistachio. Do you like pistachio ice cream, Flint?
I do.
All right. Ya, if I'm saying that right. I've never heard that restaurant. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a German restaurant. I'm guessing it's something else, but that's what I think of when I hear ya. He wishes.
You know what his least favorite restaurant in New York City is?
999.
Exactly.
Right. And so for Mike, he says his favorite color is green, and his favorite card is his pre-modern card is Nimble Mongoose. And as I talked about, his Stifle Knot deck has that Nimble Mongoose, and he's just all things green. I guess his favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
Mm-hmm.
He likes hibachi restaurants, so that's a good choice. He likes aggro decks, which I can appreciate. I like players that like aggro. And favorite card art is Spirit Link. And I'm guessing was there a reprint of that, or is it just the Legends one is the only one? I think
it was in Chronicles or 4th edition, but that was it.
The familiars he wished were better. And then I like the last question of, would you rather fight one Phyrexian Dreadnought sized Psychotog or 100 Psychotog sized Dreadnoughts? And I think he chose one giant. All right.
Yeah.
So
I think it depends on whether or not you have a Reigns of Power in your hand.
Yeah. Well, I don't actually know how big a Psychotog is. That's kind of the problem. So, all right, if you want to let the know the players can get started.
All right, I will do that now.
Looking by the cards they've set aside, it looks like they're both mulliganed once. They're going to put one card on the bottom. All right.
Yep.
In the meantime, Flint, do you want to pull up and figure out what decks they banned?
Yeah, I'll take a look right now. So, and decks. It looks like Mike Harris did ban the Rock,
Okay.
and Robin did ban Zoo-Gro.
All right.
Yep. So you called it.
Yeah. Well,
With
like I
your
said,
insider information.
I had a little bit of information. To be fair, you played with them too, but I just played with them after you played with them. So
He had more data.
yes, and he just kind of verbalized his thought process. All right.
Welcome to the stream, Felda Griffey and J.A. Keitha. Thanks for joining us. Should be good.
Flip around Mike's.
Oh, yes.
There we go. That looks
so. Island for Mike looks like he's on Kogoth, maybe.
Well, it could be the Stifle Knot. Because do we see what land he fetched with?
Looks like maybe a Flooded Strand.
Yeah, I guess that I don't think that's. I think those are in both of his decks. That one's a peak, so that would be the Stifle Knot deck.
Yep.
All right, so I'll update these players. As we know, Robin is on the Full English Breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
So he also took a damage to cast his card. So Flint, you want to keep track of the game while I update these?
Yeah, definitely. So Robin took a point, obviously, to play the Finhorn Elves, and Mike took the point for the fetch. But Mike played a peek. He's looking at Robin's hand. So we do see both a Shapeshifter and a Survival and a Mesmeric Fiend for Disruption. So that's a really good hand for Robin. But we don't know what Mike has. I mean, Mike could just be able to combo off and kill him. Yeah, that's right, Michael. All elves against Mike. Let's see if there's the same result this week.
Yeah, maybe just the thought of an elf just sends tremors down his spine, and he won't be able to play as well. Flashbacks from last week. He's traumatized.
Perhaps. All right, so we have the City of Brass from Mike. Nice signed Chronicles copy there, it looks like. So he knows that Robin has the Mesmeric Fiend in his hand. I guess he's thinking, should he play something out now? Takes a point from the City of Brass, play Meddling Mage. What do you name here, Mike? What do you think?
I did not see his hand before, so
He had a Survival the Fittest, Mesmeric Fiend, Volrath's Shapeshifter.
It's either the Shapeshifter or the Survival.
It looks like it's the Survival. I love it.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes.
Perfect. Appreciate that.
I think that makes sense because if you just name the Shapeshifter, then he's going to able to play the Survival and then find the card he needs to answer the Meddling Mage.
Yep.
And if you just name Shapeshifter, you kind of have to have all the pieces naturally for it to do a lot.
Robin still has a way to cheat Shapeshifters into play with Unearth in this deck as well. I think it's just one copy, but it's not something that you typically see in the list, and it's pretty sneaky.
So, if I'm trying to think
two.
if there were a case like if you had the combo in your hand from Mike's perspective, what card would you want to name? Would you name something different? Like, are you going to be more aggressive with what card you're going to name?
Like, I think, yeah. I mean, the Mesmeric Fiend is a real, threat. I don't know. Maybe we didn't see black mana in Robin's hand, so he's not as worried about it, right? Because it's the coast and the reflecting pool. But I
Mhm.
think if you have some sort of key piece in your hand and you have the chance to sort of go off sooner rather than later, you probably go for the fiend and then just hope to race. Um, but he may not. He might just be playing it safe too, because full English breakfast can win out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, if it has a lot of mana, a lot of green
Yep.
mana, it can just play the shapeshifter and get a sequence of cards that'll just kill you.
Yeah, five mana basically, right?
Yeah, because you.
Three for the shapeshifter, one survival activation to get the
It would be three if you didn't have either of the pieces,
if you
right?
if you didn't have either piece, but if you have one of them, it's just two mana.
Yeah.
Nice Black Knob. Turn one Elf Bird is nice, but it's certainly more present, I would say, in our deck lists that we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are a lot of decks that don't go for that opening.
I prefer a turn one exploration myself, but to each their own.
It's like a Birds of Paradise that just can't be bolted or swords, kind of.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. It looks like the shapeshifter hits a counter spell, and I think Robin took a point to play the shapeshifter from one of the coasts.
Okay. So he's at 16, is that correct?
Yeah.
Looks like they're catching up on things. So, oh, and then he
But
took.
he attacked with Meddling Mage, so Robin's at 14.
Yeah, okay. So I guess
Robin playing a mana war to bounce the Meddling Mage. Really cool card from what Visions originally,
yeah,
and then
Visions.
Portal, or
Yep,
Portal 2.
yep. Portal 1, not Portal
It's
2.
Portal 1. Okay.
There might be a Portal 2 one as well. I don't know. I guess I can. Oh, that's not on my list. So the Visions one.
So he followed it up with a survival, which met a daze from Mike, and I believe Mike had to tap his City of Brass there.
Okay. So,
I can't tell.
yeah, so that's a good sequence for Mike that because Robin was obviously setting up the turn to bounce the meddling mage for one turn so that he'd be able to play the survival, but having the days is just a really nice spot to have it because now you could almost. I mean, I don't know if you would name something else with the meddling mage, but you have the
There's the Dreadnought.
opportunity to at least. So here we
Yeah,
say a dreadnought, and it looked like it was
Stifle.
stifled. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't take a point, Mike. I'm wrong. Well, now he did. So
Okay. He's at
yeah.
17 now. And a nimble mongoose is in play. One of those is a little bit more of a threat than the other.
Is it the mongoose?
I don't know. I guess sure.
Can't be targeted.
No.
Can't
I
bounce
guess
that goose.
there is an Uktavi orangutan in right? And is it in Robin's main or is that just in the sideboard? I can't remember.
I don't remember if it's sideboard or main. I can pull it up. Let's take a look. It looks like it is in the main.
Okay. So he does have that.
Yeah, Black Knob. There's not a lands deck in the sense of the one that I ran in the Spring Fling in the format. I mean, Andrew's deck does take advantage of exploration in Horn of Greed as an engine, but it's to Stormbind and squeeze out the opponent. It's not as engine specific as the 4-color lands deck that I ran.
We got some
All right,
pointing going on. Accusations are being made.
mm-hmm. It's getting heated.
So right now we're on Robin's turn. He looks like he only has like two cards, right? So he's probably not working with that much. So if he had, oh, he played survival. I'm like looking at him like, why did he tap 2 mana? And then, okay, I see the survival now. So,
Yep. Yeah, not in bad shape, but he does have a dreadnought coming his way.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Black Knight, the London Mulligan rule does help for sure to get the first turn exploration.
So Robin's debating whether he wants to soak up any of the damage, and looks like he does. The Dreadnought tramples, so he's going to take 10 damage instead of 12, thanks to the Mana War, and go down to 4.
Mike Harris taps City Brass, takes a point. Mike Harris is at 14, it looks like,
Okay.
actually. So he's playing the Meddling Mage. He's probably going to name Valras Shapeshifter here, right?
Shapeshifter would, yeah. Okay, so if you name Shapeshifter, because I'm trying to think, because, or you could name the Orangutan is the other card I was thinking of, but he's named
Shapeshifter. Yeah, I think you name Shapeshifter because otherwise Robin can get a Psychotog and a Shapeshifter, play the Psychotog, ditch the cards in the graveyard, and then the Shapeshifter could come into play as a Mana War.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the Shapeshifter is a really tricky card, and I thought at first when he held up the piece of paper that it said Feldegrift.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, that's the confident name. It's just like, I've got this locked up. It doesn't matter.
No hippopotamus will be stopping me
Yes.
today. Not today, not ever. I wonder if Mike remembered that Robin has the Orangutan main deck. It's not always main deck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he overlooked it, or like, because I think Shapeshifter is just the better name. Here's a monkey.
Yeah. Classic card. For several reasons.
Yes. It's a favorite art of many people, and I'll show you why. And it's not for the it's not for the monkey in the foreground. I guess.
Yes, Black Knob reasons, indeed, plural.
All right.
It's a family program, Hoyt. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Putting that card up there.
Yep. So after Robin just passed after he played the orangutan, so now Mike has, is that Nimble Mongoose a large one yet, or is it 6 cards?
I think it's 6.
It was a Peak, it was a fetch land, there was a Daze, there was a counter spell, there's a Stifle, there's a Dreadnought, so there's at least 6. Because at this point, so are we still at the end of turn? Why is Mike's mana tapped?
I'm not sure where we're at right now.
I guess. Okay. Oh, we're still on Robin's turn. Okay. So he's using the survival on his turn. He's discarding the Squee.
What a pre-modern card too, right? It's not a card that's really used a whole lot in other formats, but it has a place in so many pre-modern decks.
I mean, part of it, I think other formats just have become too fast. Like you're just too vulnerable to either spending too much time setting up with Squee, or if you rely too heavily on the graveyard and that gets taken away, then it just doesn't do anything. So I think pre-modern is kind of in that sweet spot that, I mean, there are decks that definitely are just blisteringly fast, but a lot of the times there is just enough interaction that you can get the value out of the Squee coming back every turn.
Did we see? Did he get the elf with the survival chat? Or Mike, did you see? I didn't see what he grabbed specifically, but he played the Finhorn elf after he searched.
That seems like an unusual card to grab. So I think he. I mean, maybe. I guess maybe it depends if he has like other. What else was in his hand? So I did not see what he revealed with the survival. So this mongoose is coming in. So, I mean, it's either got to be threshold or Mike is threatening to give a threshold in combat.
Yeah, I think you definitely double block.
Okay. There's a winter orb. So that's something that's in Mike's deck that's not in all the Stifle Knot lists. But
Hmm.
it's in a pretty good spot too, especially if he just took out one of those Llanowar elves, because that would really
Yeah.
help Robin kind of negate some of the sting from the winter orb.
Mike's down to 13 to play that second mongoose.
Oh, okay. I missed that. So yeah, following up the the winter orb with a little bit of pressure, and we see Robin's life total at 4. So it might be enough where just these two little creatures are going to get it done. Kind of like I talked about in the pregame, that a lot of the Stifle lists are really, really reliant on just having the 12-12 go the distance. And when it gets
Mhm.
removed, then you're kind of waiting, and you have to set up that 2-card combo again. But here with the deck with the green cards, and I guess Meddling Mage, it is a 2-2. You're able to kind of attack in the meantime. So if they use all the resources and don't have a good board presence, you can just kind of finish the job with those creatures. Otherwise, you're
Mhm.
at least maybe like doing something when you're using that time to search for that 2-card combo again.
It's nice too against Robin, because a good way to stop full English breakfast is to take out the mana, especially the blue mana. Robin's list is a little better prepared for it than the traditional lists you've seen. He runs more blue sources. But if you can stall out their mana, I mean, you put him in a really awkward spot. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of breakfast players will actually use survival to get more birds of paradise or elves. But a smart play here from Robin, getting the wall, he can easily block the mongoose and try to buy a little more time now that his mana has been taxed.
Yeah, it's always a good feeling with Wall of Blossoms when you're able to have it do some work and draw a card, and it's just good feeling. But I guess still in the spot, if Mike's attacking,
He attacked with both, and
yeah.
he also used the City of Brass last turn. So Robin's actually at 1 life now.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty close game.
So why did he use or did he just untap the reflecting pool?
He just untapped it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, why didn't he use the reflecting pool?
Yeah.
So he's got access to 2 mana right now. And that City Brass is just kind of up there because he's not planning on tapping that again. Also, it's kind of funny. I don't think Mike has any Fire Ice, but because there's a Winter Orb in play, you otherwise, if there wasn't one, you'd be able to maybe tap down the City Brass to do the last point of damage. But the Winter Orb, Robin's not going to untap that one again, so you don't have that
Yeah.
option.
Well, and he's in a brutal spot here because he needs to play another blocker, after this elf, but his elf is his mana source. And his all of his colored mana, well, not most all of his colored mana is pain mana. He's got the one reflecting pool. He doesn't have a bird or anything. So he's on the back foot a little bit here.
Definitely. Yeah, because it's like he might be able to block the mongoose, but every turn he's going to be losing a creature. There's not. Okay, so there's. I think this fiend is just a stall tactics. There's 2 counter spells
Yeah,
in the hand for Mike.
pretty
So
good.
yeah, because he'll have that counter spell mana. It looks. I mean, I'm not gonna just call it, but it doesn't seem like there's very much that Robin will be able to draw, because the mesmeric fiend's gonna die,
Yep.
and Robin's gonna be able to have access to 2, maybe 3 mana next turn, but Mike has access to counter spell, so it's gonna be a tough ask for Robin to find anything on this turn. I guess
Yeah, he really.
I guess if worst comes to worst, he's able to block with the Findhorn Elves to live another turn, but I still don't like his position. Three cards in hand, and 2 of them are counter spells. That's what Mike says. Oh, I mean, I guess
Let's start.
that's the card to have, I guess, against that situation. So, all right, maybe I spoke too soon, because yeah, that makes it interesting. So Mike is willing to take a damage, use one of the counter spells, because then
Hmm.
Robin has to get rid of a creature, which is really important in this board state, to flash it back.
There's
So
the
at the spot,
sweet.
would
Go
you
ahead.
flash it back right now? I guess because
No.
if if Mike draws another mana, then I guess you can do it next turn. Yeah.
And that Findhorn Elf is his other mana, right? So I think he'd rather hope to draw his. If he can play a second Wall of Blossoms, that would be great. But there's only one other one in the deck.
Yeah. Are there any other? I can't think of any other 2 drops. That would be good right here.
Yeah, he's basically needs to play an elf, a wall, a bird, or a fiend every turn, or he's in big trouble. All right, so he blocks, he discards the squeak, he gets a Wall of Blossoms, and he tries to play it next turn, but Mike still has the counter spell.
Uh, is there a spot where he can get rid of that with the Cabal Therapy?
Yeah, I know Black Nub. I'm wondering if he has another mana, if he has another land in his hand. If he does, then he'll do that, but otherwise he has to search for a 1 drop. The Orb, the bane of all tabletop magic. Aegis can be. It's such a sweet card in Premodern.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I feel like the creature decks a lot of times are the honest decks. So if you get a little bit of an unfair card or something to do, something to keep. I mean, I feel like the creatures need the help in this format. So
Oh, yeah.
if Winter Orb's evil, I guess evil's working for the good guys, in my opinion.
So I think he's probably in trouble here unless he has a land and 2 1 drops because he tries to play the bird, it gets countered, and then he dies the next turn. Or no, he does untap 2. So he needs 2 1 drops or a land, a 1 drop, and a 2 drop.
Yeah. Also, it'd be interesting if, I mean, Mike doesn't have the mana, but like Stifle might come into play, just stifling like a squee trigger or a survival trigger to
Mm-hmm.
deny Robin an activation might just be enough in certain spots because mana is so tight.
Cabal Therapy again. Yep.
Okay. Do you? I think because of Winter Orb, you let it resolve, right?
I mean, you might have to.
I mean, if you have more than one counterspell, then maybe not. But because if he's gonna name counterspell anyways, then you might as well not tap your mana. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's certain situations where you just
Yeah.
don't want him to see your hand. So Vision Charm, Peak, and another Winter Orb looks like, and then he did name the counterspell.
Yeah.
So there's a Birds of Paradise, but okay. So there's Peak. He could be looking for so Squee, Genesis, and Psychotog are the cards that are in Robin's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, but yeah, so this still isn't a bad spot for Mike because he's just able to get rid of a bird. So 2 mana right now available for Robin. We know he can. I mean, worst comes worst, he's just getting an elf to block with. The 2 drops in his deck he has are. He does have another Wall of Blossoms, but he doesn't have the mana to. He could have. I think didn't want to do it last turn. Wait, because of the counter spell is the reason why he didn't go for it, and now he just doesn't have enough mana. So yeah, the 2 drops are Mesmeric Fiend and the Wall of Blossoms. I
Hmm.
think. I don't know if there's any other ones. Is that a
I think
worldly
those are the
tutor?
main ones.
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So this is
And
probably, well, I guess in pre-modern there's only two of them are legal, but this is the least powerful of that cycle. But let me bring that one up. So yeah, it puts a creature on top of your deck, so it doesn't get to go in your hand, so you kind of skip a draw step. But in this deck, it's most of the time you're trying to get a Fire Extinct Dreadnought, and you're willing to lose a card in order to get that.
you got meddling mage this time.
So the turn that he uh, cast the Cabal Therapy, he had 3 mana, and so he can't. He would need 4 mana to cast Cabal Therapy, activate Survival, and cast Wall of Blossoms. So he can do that. He did have a Cabal Therapy in the graveyard, but he just had a Wall of Blossoms in play, right? He didn't have the Birds of Paradise. That turn he cast the Cabal Therapy. So I don't think he had enough mana to Cabal Therapy and play Wall of Blossoms. Yeah, I don't know if he just didn't have the Cabal Therapy in his hand, and maybe he got the Elf because it was less mana. But I don't know if there was a spot where he had. I don't know if there was ever a spot where he had a spare creature to flashback Cabal Therapy and then go get a Wall of Blossoms. But it's possible we missed something. Can Mike phase out his orb with Vision Charm to get the full untap?
I think it's just a creature, isn't it?
It's no, it's an artifact.
Oh, it's artifact. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100%. So I think phasing triggers on your untap step. It's not gonna. I don't think it has the rules. Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Scooping it up.
All right. So let's jump over to the deck so we can talk about sideboarding for a bit. Decks. So I have the Stifle Knot list up. What cards are you interested in bringing in if you're Mike?
Let's see. Definitely Tormod's Crypt and Naturalize. Or maybe, Annul's really good too. But I like Tormod's Crypt the best.
So
I
the
don't know
thing
what.
about Tormod's Crypt is, assuming that there's a survival and a shapeshifter in play, which I guess is kind of a big ask, you only need an extra mana and a creature to play around a Tormod's Crypt.
It's
But
true
uh,
because you can discard in response.
yeah, but that's not necessarily saying, I'm not saying it's a bad card, because the games are not going to play out the way where Robin's just going to get exactly what he wants on the table. But
Hmm.
it just might not be the end all be all, because Robin might pick his spots to try and force Mike to use the Tormod's Crypt and then combo off. So something like using Squee over and over, and if Mike isn't pressuring Robin enough, then he's just going to get too much value and have to use the Crypt, and then he'll be able to, after that, then go combo off.
Hmm.
So when looking at Naturalize and Annul, they're really the only targets are the survival of the fittest, and because Robin has so much discard in his deck, I like Naturalize better than Annul, because I think there's a lot of situations where you might be prepared to counter the survival, but Robin would lead with a Mesmeric Fiend or Cabal Therapy or a Duress, and then take that out. So I like the Naturalize because I don't think you can bring in too many cards. And then the question is like, is Swords to Plowshares the best answer? Like, just, I mean, obviously there's a lot of creatures in Robin's deck, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to sideboard with Mike's version of the deck, so it'll be interesting to see. So I'm not even 100% sure.
Fair enough.
I'll pull
Should we
up.
talk about Robins?
Yes. So Full English Breakfast against the Stifle Knot deck. Then Naturalize is the first card I see. There's 3 of those. That looks really appealing. Other than that, I mean, maybe a Duress seems interesting. But this is also another deck, like, what cards do you take out from the Full English Breakfast side? I think I would take out Diabolic Intent, because I don't think that card's very good against counter spells.
No.
Do you ever think it's reasonable just to take out the Phage combo? Like,
You can, but if things go wrong and let's say Mike's able to exile either the Triskelion or the Devourer, then Robin's in a really tough spot. And I actually had this conversation with Robin because he was thinking about taking out the Phage combo just altogether, but then had to play some games where situations like that happened to him, and he was in a really bad spot. So I don't think he will, but I think he should certainly take out Diabolic Intent, because if that gets countered or dazed, it's just brutal.
yeah, you have to sacrifice a creature as part of casting it, so it's gonna, if it gets countered, you get 2 for 1.
Mm-hmm. You could make the argument that Withered Wretch might be good. It might be better than another creature in the deck. It's just, what do you take out for it in order to keep Mike off threshold?
Yeah, I mean,
Duress is
the only problem is like if the game went like how it went before, if a Winter Orb resolves, then you're not too excited to have Wither Wretch. It's pretty.
That's fair.
Pretty
so maybe
intensive.
Maybe it's just Naturalize. Maybe it's just Naturalize.
Yeah, I think so. So they're still shuffling up. So I guess
I'll let them know that they can jump in whenever. Or do you want to put up?
I'm gonna go up to the band screen real quick and just.
Okay.
Where is it? And highlight. So the Rock was chosen to be banned, and then the Jund Zoo-Gro deck was banned. So Mike had the choice between the Cognivore Oath and the Stifle Knot. And Robin, so if Robin, I do not think wants to choose zombies, because then Mike has the potential to play the Cognivore Oath. And I mean, just because the zombies deck just has to play so many creatures, and I think the Cognivore Oath would be advantage there. So I think if you're Mike, you can say, I'm pretty sure Robin will be playing Full English Breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that Stifle Knot, it's more proactive, because if you're just sitting back with the Oath deck, I mean, I guess you're kind of likely to trigger Oath, obviously, because the Full English Breakfast deck has a lot of creatures, but it just seems, the list just kind of seemed a little bit clunky, and Full English Breakfast is a deck that can really punish a deck that kind of spins its wheels a little bit.
Agreed. It's kind of hard to say fast, isn't it?
Yes. Full English Breakfast. I can't even do it twice.
Should I give them the go-ahead if they're ready? It looks like they're looking at their hands right now.
Yeah.
I'll just let them know that that we're ready. It looks like Robin might be taking a mulligan.
Okay. Well.
So we got 23 viewers. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying the show.
All right, chat. We want to know, which deck are you rooting for, and then which deck do you think will win? So those could be different things, I guess. But sound off in the chat. Let's hear what you want. Who is the good guy in this matchup, Flint?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like combo is usually the force of evil. But to an extent, they're both combo decks. It's just Robin's is more of a combo deck, I would say.
Yeah.
But I'd probably say Full English Breakfast be the bad guy in this one.
The bad guy. Okay, I agree. I thought you were gonna say he's the good guy.
I mean, in my heart, definitely. But I'll try to be objective.
All right, we had someone who did not like Winter Orb before, but then the people who are sounding off are fans of Winter Orb. So I guess it depends on the deck with Winter Orb, because I mean, like a deck like Pink Prison, Winter Orb is a bad card, like a bad guy card in a bad guy deck. When here, I think Winter Orb is closer to being a bad guy card in a good guy deck. All right. People agree with Stifle not being the good guy.
We got a little hate for Winter Orb too. All right, so here we go. We got Bird's Paradise from Robin. It's a good start.
Mike is fetching to get an island. I guess he could get a plains, but I think almost all the time he will be getting an island.
Is he going to see Cabal Therapy or Duress?
Okay. Is that the one Duress?
I think so.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one to lead off with. That way you don't have to guess and miss. Mongoose is the good guy. All right. So
yeah, it's the one
Vision
Duress.
Charms, Stifle, Peak. Oh, it's 2 Vision Charms. 2 Vision Charms, Stifle, Peak.
And
Meddling Mage and Stifle. So if there's a land and Mike gets to Peak, I mean, I'm also assuming that there could be a Mesmeric Fiend, there could be a Cabal Therapy. But if Mike's hitting a land, then he has potentially a turn to Dreadnought. Also, the thing about Vision Charm, the way that it interacts with Robin's deck, if some of his answers are Manowar or Uktavia Orangutan, those won't work if Mike has Vision Charm the Stifle Knot because it's phased out. So some of the answers that Robin has won't work if Mike goes for the Vision Charm. Also, just like in general, if the game goes on and he has a Stifle Knot in play or a Dreadnought, he can respond to like a Naturalize with a Vision Charm. So which card did he take? Stifle, and then there was a Cabal Therapy.
And then Cabal Therapy takes the Vision Charms, and then
I feel like I wouldn't have thought as long as Robin to do that. Maybe I'm missing a line, but that just seems like the best case scenario for Robin.
Dress Therapy, best combo in Premodern. It's really good, especially when your opponent has more than one of the same card in their hand.
Well, and especially like the deck that Mike has is that Dreadnought doesn't do anything unless you have one of those other cards. So it's almost like you got 4 cards with the 2.
Yeah, I think Robin just tries to build out his mana and then, draw another Fiend or flashback the Therapy to take the annul when he's going to go for it, because he could play the Survival and win that same turn if he has the right cards. But he missed a land drop, right?
Mike, yes. He peaked.
Well, Robin as well, right?
Well, this is Robin's 3rd turn, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he might have the opportunity to play it. So it's Counterspell, Annul. And that wasn't a null, correct?
It looks like it was a Meddling Mage.
Well, that got discarded. I thought it was a Dreadnought, a Counterspell, and an Annul in Mike's hand still.
Yes.
All right, so how many times have these elves attacked? Is Mike at 17? Is that what that says?
Looks like Mike's at 17, yeah.
All right. So here's maybe it was Careful Study. Maybe that's what I was thinking a null was. But maybe he had both. I don't know. Because I felt like that art was a null.
So he discards a Dreadnought and a Counterspell?
Okay, that's what it looked like, yes.
Yep. And then just passes the turn. Oof.
Yeah, Mike's deck is really light on mana sources. So that is something that can happen with a lot of times with the Stifle Knot deck, is if you don't have the 2 hands, you have Careful Studies and Peaks, but those aren't guaranteed to hit your lands, and if you're spending your turn looking for land, then you're not able to kind of set up and get things going.
Team Pepper. Excellent.
What are we counting?
Really? I think... Like any damage?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Which dog from the Odyssey cycle best represents early?
Oh man, I would. Oh, Mike accidentally overdrew.
Oh. Okay, so um, typically the new rules are I think it's not supposed to be a random card. It's actually supposed to be your hand is revealed and Robin gets to pick which card goes to the bottom. I think is what the judge ruling is for when people have drawn extra cards.
I'll message him.
All right, so that isn't a null, right? On the bottom,
Yeah, Enola counterspell, Dreadnought, and then what's the last one? Another careful study.
I think so. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it looks like a careful
That's a
study.
Dreadnought on the bottom.
Okay,
All right, it's resolved.
that looks like an attack.
Yep,
So
16 for Mike Harris.
Robin definitely stripped apart Mike's hand, but he's not doing much now. What? So I don't know how many cards are in Robin's hand, but what else? I mean, I guess there's a million clunky creatures that the Full English Breakfast deck can draw, like the Triskelion or Phage or Chroma or Phyrexian Devour. A lot of those cards are not very good. So I'm guessing there are some number of those cards in Robin hand. But I mean, like even a card like Genesis is only one land away. Though the Gemstone Mine only has one counter, so if he's using that, then he's gonna lose another land. So looks like two Winter Orbs got discarded.
Yep,
And
and
there
there's
is
a
a
crypt.
Tormod's Crypt.
But still no land for Mike Harris.
Yeah.
And Mike Harris is at 15 from an attack from Robin. Robin's got his third land finally.
Okay. Looks like I have to bring up a new version of Tormod's Crypt.
This might be the most uneventful combo matchup in the history of combo
I don't know.
matchups.
Sometimes it's like when things go awry and your combo deck has to resort to other things, then it's kind of interesting. I mean, because that's really where
Counters.
Magic becomes really interesting because you have these games that develop in ways that you just don't expect to. So
Mesmeric Fiend from Robin was countered by Mike.
okay,
I mean, Mike's deck is set up to do that, right? With the mongooses.
to do what? Oh, kind of like
To,
have things
yeah,
foiled and yeah. I mean,
yeah.
ideally he would have wanted to like have a nimble mongoose in play this whole time because then the game's completely different.
All right, there's the orangutan. So yeah, so Robin's graveyard is exiled, but there wasn't much in there, and he'd already flashed back to his Cabal Therapy, so that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the timing is like I don't know if it's I'm not saying it's incorrect to hold the Tormod's Crypt, but there really wasn't anything that was inconsequential to exile, right?
Yeah, and Robin just has so much discard. The odds of getting the crypt stripped from your hand, I think, are greater than the odds of getting it destroyed on the battlefield.
I guess that's true. Though the only thing that's different is like if it's in play, you know to play around it kind of thing, as compared to like if it's in your hand and he hasn't seen it, then Robin might take certain actions that put him more vulnerable to a Tormod's Crypt.
Thanks, Andrew. We did something similar. We had Mike reveal and I had Robin pick one to put on the bottom. We did. I don't think we had him shuffle it in, but we had him put it on the bottom.
Okay. Well, it got shuffled now.
Yeah. The Dreadnought is no longer on the bottom. And now is it on the top? What's on the top?
He put a werebear.
Werebear. Okay, probably a better choice given the mana issues.
So he opts for the 4/4 as compared to getting a Nimble Mongoose that has Shroud. So I guess the differences are Wall of Blossoms, or I guess it's really not that many cards that like kill Werebear. That so like Bone Shredder is in the sideboard, but that's
I don't
about
think
it.
you bring it Bone
No,
Shredder, do. Well, you
no,
might. I mean, it
no.
might be good against a Meddling Mage.
It's okay. It is non-artifact, so it doesn't get
Yeah.
Phyrexian Dreadnought.
So it only really hits the werebears and the meddling mages, but it might be good enough against a meddling mage to be able to combo off.
Do you think Mike has threshold? Should we check just to make sure? Does that werebear is that werebear a 1/1 or is it a 4/4?
Yeah, right.
So I have. Oh, is is Mike at 10? Is that where we're at?
I'm just text messaging them how much time we have left in the round.
Yeah.
It looks like Mike is at 10. Yeah,
Okay. So and then I have Robin at 16.
yeah, it looks right.
All right. So the man is coming in for Mike finally. I mean, but then and so I guess Robin also too. But like, does Robin only have one card in his hand?
Two.
Okay.
Now three, maybe, or no, maybe it was one turn sideways. So maybe now he has two in his hand.
Yeah, but I mean, like from the spot, like things are not that bad for Mike.
No,
I mean, I
I
think
don't know.
some draw steps have to go poorly for Robin, but um,
Four mana. What is he casting? Six. Is he just gonna
Triskelion,
play Aroma, or is
Phyrexian
he
Devourer. All right,
Power?
let's bring this guy up.
That is amazing. And there's the annul. But that's
Oh,
okay in this deck. If he follows it up with the shapeshifter, it's perfect.
which set is Devourer from? Alliance.
Alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to explain why this card is in the deck?
So the reason why Devour's in the deck is because with a shapeshifter in play, you can use the zero ability to exile the top card of your library. And you keep doing it to get the Devourer bigger and bigger. And then at some point, the power will go beyond six, the casting cost. So there's a sacrifice trigger that happens. But that goes on the stack, and you can continue to sacrifice or continue to exile cards, and you get it as big as you need to. And then you use survival or the shapeshifter ability to discard a Triskelion. And now you have a Triskelion with all of these counters on it with the sacrifice trigger still on the stack. And you just remove all the counters and machine gun down the opponent. It's a cool interaction.
So Mana War was the response to Werebear, bounced that back to his hand, and then Robin was able to attack for 3. So now
Okay.
Mike's at
I just replace it.
Mike's at 4, and Robin's at. Is he at 8? I guess maybe I missed a Werebear attack. I had him at 12.
Yeah, it looks like he's at 8.
Okay.
So is he going to bring the team? What are we
So if
doing
he
here?
attacked, he would get in for 3 and lose a 2/2. Then Mike would go down to 1. That would cut off City of
He's
Brass
tapped
at least.
6 mana.
Triskelion. That's a good one.
Oh, wow. Is that just game?
Well,
If Mike doesn't have a counterspell?
yes. So Triskelion from in. Oh, I don't have.
What if
Any,
he stifles? What if he stifles one of
yeah,
one
he
of the
can gain a life. Um, I don't have an antiquities button, so we get to look at a new version of Triskelion. Oh,
It's all right.
this art's pretty cool. So
He takes 3, goes to 1,
yep, and then
shoots
he's
him,
able to
kills
finish
him.
it off. So I guess in that game, Robin was the good guy, right? Because he just played like just creatures. He just played 2/2s and then Triskelion and some discard spells. So he's able to equalize there.
Yes, Black Knob, you're right. It's a cool trick.
Yeah, the nice thing about the combination of Triskelion and Devour is you don't have to rely on the combat step, which the previous combo that's still in Robin's deck is the Acroma and Phage combo. So typically you turn the Shapeshifter into Acroma, which gives it flying, trample, haste,
Protection from
and
black, protection from red.
yeah, so
And
you're able to attack, and very likely that you're getting damage in, and then before the damage goes through, you switch it into a phage, which whenever that deals combat damage to a player, they lose the game. Which that is a trigger that could be stifled. So
it is.
that would be a very interesting situation.
That would be kind of awesome.
Yeah, I can't right now my card fetcher doesn't have the ability to put up the old antiquities one, so I guess I
So
can put up a
I'm
fourth
just going to jump
edition.
in real quick. I let them know there's only 10 minutes left in this round, so I told them to play quickly. So we'll see if they can get the third game in.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay. A lot of magic can happen in 10 minutes, so.
It's very true. The match against Ron and Andrew last week.
So Nimble Mongoose comes off of City of Brass for Mike. He's able
So
to
Mike's
attack with that
playing two.
once. It's not a 3/3 yet. It's just a 1/1, but Birds of Paradise doesn't want to get in the way of that. So Mike reluctantly tapping a City of Brass. For a Worldly Tutor. So this, if
Could be
he,
quick.
if he, oh, okay. So here, I'll pull up the Trevor's Ruins.
Yeah, so Travis Ruins is a layer land, and so when layer lands come into play, you have to bounce a non-layer land back to your hand, or the layer land dies. And each layer land taps for 3 colors. There's the Dreadnought. Layer lands are really good with Gemstone Mine in
Yeah,
Premodern.
I do like the layer lands a lot. I think they're only good in a certain amount of decks, like decks with lower curves, but it's a cool way to fix your mana with not too high of an opportunity cost. There are situations where it's really awkward, but so
So he does get the Dreadnought, it looks like.
the blue
Uh,
card is a null. So Robin's going for a survival, but
it's
Mike
countered.
has the annul. So we
Follows up with another bird. Really cool altars on those Birds of Paradise. All right, there it is. Takes a point to Vision Charm, the Devourer.
1 damage to make it 12/12. That seems good.
So Mike is at 17, Rob's at 18.
Oh, he's at 18. Okay.
Yeah, I think he got in twice with the
Yeah, I just missed that attack right there.
Mongoose.
Yep.
That's fine.
All right, so
So
3 mana
there's
for a
Psychic.
Psychotog. And not the most formidable at this spot. So the reason the Psychotog's in this deck is there's sometimes you have to discard creatures at inopportune times. And since Volrath Shapeshifter only works with the top creature card, putting your Shapeshifter into a Psychotog allows you to kind of manipulate your library by exiling, or your graveyard by exiling a certain number of cards, and can allow you to combo off where other cards won't let you do. So 12 damage coming through.
Yep. So he's got to do something this turn.
And it's got to be. I mean, there's a few cards, but it's got to be now. I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess there's a possibility that the Spore Frog combo came in, but I don't think it's that good against Mike's deck because he just has so many answers. There's counterspells and stifles and meddling mages that can prevent the Genesis Spore Frog loop.
There's a
So,
peak. And we do see the Bone Shredder,
Bone
but Bone
Shredder.
Shredder cannot target artifact creatures. So untaps. Is he just hoping to discard his cards and exile to stay alive with the Psychotog? I mean, what?
I don't think it can get big enough. That'd be 1, 2, 3, and then there's 2 cards to remove, so it's +5/+5. So it'd have 7 toughness, 8 toughness, 8, 9, 10, 10 total. I guess he can live, okay. But when you're losing your
Everything.
board, yeah.
Yeah, in your graveyard. I mean, this might just be game. He's got his swords for the Psychotog.
Is there a reason to do that right now?
I would wait.
Wouldn't you do it after blocks?
Yeah.
But okay, so let's try and keep track of how big this Psychotog's gonna be. So he discarded his Squee.
So it's got 3 toughness. It's a 1/2, right?
Yeah. It's a base one too.
Yeah. Three, four, 5.
Well, you want to keep track of life because it's getting. I'm guessing it's getting plowed, right? Or you want to keep track of power, not toughness.
Five,
Right
it's
now, I
5
think.
powers then.
Yeah.
So he gains 5 life.
Did he gain the life? Okay, now he's
So it looks
adjusting
like
it.
he's getting it right now, but I'm told.
All right, 5. Mike has him at 16, himself at 16. So, all right. So he's attacking with. Is that Mongoose a 3/3 or is it a 1/1?
I think it's a 1/1, and there's 5 in the graveyard.
All right. So, it was a force block. Okay. So
it goes to 1.
Yep.
Plays a Fiend, scoops him up. All right, that's it.
Mighty Fiend. All right. Well, yeah, that was
down 2-1.
Yeah, that
Close.
was an exciting match. There was a lot of stuff that went on, and so Mike did a good job of answering Robin's threats, and then Robin kind of just like the second game, Robin dismantled Mike's hand, but then didn't have any. He didn't have a way to quickly close out the game.
Should we ask the players if they want to do a quick chat, and then we'll cut to our ads and be
Sure.
right back?
Yeah, we can do it real quick.
I have them unmute us. I'm turn them back up.
Unmuted.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey.
What's up, Robin? Good games,
How
guys.
is it going? Thank you. Yeah, I can't believe that I just cheated on camera. No, I felt so bad. Like,
It happens.
can't believe I did that.
That Mike Harris, you got to watch out for him.
Yeah.
So, did these games play out about how you both expected? Maybe
I didn't expect to win game 2, honestly. So not exactly in that sense, but
Well, I mean, it is a pretty tight matchup in that if it really comes down to who draws the right things, like he has so many ways to fight my hate, but I just have so much hate for his deck.
yeah, I have a lot of discard spells. That's fair, but we spoke before, and I told him that I couldn't find a good matchup versus him because this was the best I can find. But his sideboard is like 4 swords, 3 annul, 2 naturalized, 2 torment script. Like he could basically turn his deck into just like all hate against Feb.
Yeah.
So
oops, all hate cards.
Yeah, but
Oops, all hate.
the thing I have going for me is like hoping that he draws the wrong half of it. Like if he had a plow now instead of the null, if that was the one he was sitting on, then I can resolve the survival, and then I can go off through plow. The really tricky card is null is the actual best card against me. Naturalize is the second best, and then the rest is cards you can actually combo through. So I just had to bet on him not having that all there. It was a good hand I had. It was a turn 2 survival plus fetching a card. So
Yeah,
it was basically a turn 3 win, a turn 4 win. So
yeah, you had to go for it there.
Agreed.
I mean, I didn't have any discard in hand, so I definitely had to go for it. There was no way I could like wait and play a discard spell or something. So
yeah, I've actually found that one of the best cards in this deck against you is Winter Orb. Even with all your dorks, like it just slows you down because you want to be tapping out once you have the survival in play.
oh yeah, for sure.
And like for me to be able to prevent you from doing that, and then like you're basically playing 3 mana creatures from there, and just to slow you down, like really helps.
Oh yeah, no, we saw what I did in game 1. I was about to win, as you guys saw in game 1 when he dropped the Winter Orb, so that was pretty annoying. So
Yeah,
it definitely is. I actually was dead game 1 for a long time, and I told him we'll put on a show. And then I realized how much time had gone, and I was like, shit, I should not have done that. And you did have me dead for a few turns because you had a Vision Charm, and you could have just Vision Charm one of my blockers and attacked for the win.
No, Vision Charm only phases out artifacts.
Yeah.
It only phases out artifacts? Wow.
Yes.
Well, see, I need to play with that deck. I only play against it all the time.
But it's funny you bring it up because Vision Charm is also a good card against you, because if I need to get a different spell on top of your graveyard,
Yeah,
I can do it.
Absolutely.
And obviously Meddling Mage is great against you. So it
Yeah,
really...
I had to bring in Bone Shredder just for Meddling Mage, and then it splash damages on the Werebears, but I brought it in just to have an answer to a Meddling Mage.
oh yeah, I think that's the right call.
Because Mana War is so shitty. Like the turn I had to go Mana War in survival and be like, well, I guess I'll do this.
Yeah.
I didn't have much of a choice there. Luckily I had 2 survivals that turn, but
Yeah.
Well, I think that the chat really enjoyed watching the matchup. There was a lot of back and forth talking about your various cards and everything. So I think you put on a show regardless, but I think
I hope
we
so.
want to move things along. So we're going to boot you guys
Yeah, for
out.
sure.
And
Of
we're
course.
going
Look at the
to
other
take a
guys.
quick intermission. We'll be back in about 5 minutes or so, chat. So stay
Thanks,
tuned.
everybody.
And thanks.
Bye.
Good games, guys. Congrats, Mike.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, so stay put, guys. I'm gonna quick switch over, and we're gonna get the other players set up. It should just be about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna do our intro talk for that match. So sit tight, and we'll be back shortly. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Okay.
All right, guys, we are just getting our players finished setting up. Flint and I are back. We want to quick go over our two next players, get to know them. Another favorite color is black for Patrick. His favorite card is Intuition, which is featured in one of his decks. He likes mango flavored ice cream.
Ooh,
I'm sure I've had that before, but not very frequently.
very nice.
He likes restaurants that don't cook their meat. I'm the opposite of that. I'm a baby when it comes to that. Plus, I always feel like restaurants undercook to my preference. So
Are you like a well done steaks kind of guy?
I say medium well, but
Oh, how dare you!
because that always is like a restaurant medium well is like medium rare to me. On Mike's screen, so here another black mage. Favorite Premodern card is Gaia's Cradle, and I know he said it's his retirement fund. So yeah, that card's gone crazy lately. He likes cookie dough with caramel sauce. I'm a fan of cookie dough. That's probably what I would have chosen, but
That sounds amazing.
I like all the answers everyone else has given. They're just much more exotic than I would have thought of. BJ's Brewhouse. I'm guessing that's a logo thing. I don't know if that's
It's a chain.
Oh,
There's
it's
a
a
bunch of
chain?
California. Yeah.
He likes mid range. He likes his favorite art is Necropotence. He wishes Stone Rain was good enough. He says land destruction spells just don't get it. He would rather fight a giant Psychotog. All right. I wonder, like, so if I mean, you know how big a Phyrexian Dreadnought is, right?
It's 12-12.
No, I mean, like, how large. Like, physically.
Oh, I see. People may have interpreted this as a power toughness issue, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, it'd probably have to be one giant Psychotog for me as well.
All right, so I have Patrick's deck up. The first one is Artifact Burn. So this is, I guess, if you just took a stock Sly list and then cut a few of the cards and added Black Vice and Anka Mishra, that's kind of where this deck list is at. So the advantages I think that those changes make are you're probably a little bit better against, you're definitely better against Circle of Protection Red because you have a lot of artifact sources, and decks that want to go long and play a bunch of lands, Anka Mishra will really punish. Also, there's certain spots like fetch lands can really punish Anka Mishra because you'll take 2 from the fetch land coming to play and then 2 from the land that you're fetching. Though the absence here is Jackal Pup, my favorite doggo. I guess it's a jackal, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's I guess the only thing that it's not here that I really like. But so it's much more burn heavy than our average slide deck. There's only 2 Grim Lavamancers, and Mug Fanatic is kind of a burn spell, and Ball Lightning is pretty much a burn spell. So the next deck in Patrick's arsenal is the Green White Oahtron. So Flint, you want to say some few words about this?
Sure. This was the deck that Patrick kind of came onto the monthly scene with. I think you and I had toyed around with Tron a little bit, and it just hadn't been very good. But the addition of Oath really is what pushes this deck over the edge, I think. So he can go the long game and ramp up to a Decree of Justice, really big Decree of Justice. But he can also very quickly put a Phantom Neshoba into play, which is amazing against a lot of the fast aggro decks. Out of the sideboard, he's got some good options as well. But overall, just kind of a nice combo-y slash, what would we call it? What would we call it? It's not really a control deck, but it certainly is more of a, can have more of a long game strategy to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big mana deck, but that doesn't really fit in the macro archetypes. But yeah, his last
kind of ramp.
Yeah,
kind of a combo ramp.
Is Blue Black Zombie Infestation. So this was the deck that Patrick played last week, and I mean, just judging by those 2 games, the deck performed really well. It did what it needed to. So it pretty much needs to play Zombie Infestation, which is a 2-mana enchantment that gives you the ability to discard 2 cards to make a 2/2 black zombie creature. And it's going to want to discard primarily Squee and do that over a course of number of turns to gain an advantage. And it can set that up if it intuitions for 3 Squees, then it's able to make 1.5 zombies every turn. So it would have to discard 1 other card to make 2 2/2s. But you're going to get the Squee back every turn, so it's kind of free value there. And then other than that, it's kind of like a soft control deck There's just some duresses and counter magic, dazes, mana leaks, counter spells, cabal therapies. So yeah, all right. We'll move over to the decks of Michael. So Angry Ghoul. All right, Flint. This is one that you know well. So why don't you talk about it? You're muted.
Sure. So basically, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, this is looking to use. You still hear me? Sorry.
I think there's a lot of audio lag from when you start talking to when it comes through. So if you want to refresh real quick, I'll talk about this deck and then.
Okay. Well.
So the Angry Ghoul
that.
deck, it tries to get Hermit Druid into play, and then activate it, and because it doesn't have any basic lands, it puts the entire deck into the graveyard, and then from that point, it's looking to either reanimate or shallow grave a Sutured Ghoul, which will become really large by exiling Corrosion Cloud Scraper, and it'll have haste because of Dragon Breath, and then it has some disruption elements in terms of Unmask and Duress. So this version is a little bit different where it has 4 Limdol's Volt as compared to we've seen some lists with Living Wish, and that can do it at instant speed. And then it also has Shallow Grave. And because you put the entire deck into the graveyard at the same time, you're able to order the cards. Because Shallow Grave puts the top creature card, but you're able to manipulate that with the activation. All right, Flint, are you back?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, you want to talk about elves then?
Sure. So elves, we saw it last week. It's a very go wide strategy. It's a very, very fast. And Michael's version also runs Tangle Wire, which is really good at tripping up the opponent, taking all their resources while the elves decks continues to develop, and then ends up killing the opponent with either an overrun or by playing a coat of arms and swinging in for a really big attack. Really straightforward, but faster and more powerful than you might expect.
And then the last option is Landstill. So it's the classic blue-white archetype. The thing that's a little bit different about Michael's list is there's a Cunning Wish package. So there's no Fact or Fictions in the 75, I believe. But he has a Cunning Wish package. So he's able to get instead of digging through his deck, he's able to just use Cunning Wish to get the card that he feels he needs for the situation. So I think that's the biggest difference is the Cunning Wish replaces the Fact or Fiction. And other than that, he is pretty heavy permission based. There are 4 counter spells, 4 Absorb, which is a lot more than I've seen in any other Landstill deck, and 3 Mana Leak. So let's move over to the ban screens, and Flint and I will predict what we're gonna ban if we were in the spot of Patrick. So if I'm looking from Patrick's perspective and looking to ban one of Michael's deck, I guess I'm not too afraid of elves because I feel like I don't know if the Oath deck would be great, but like Oath or the Sly might be able to take those out. And I feel like the Hermit Druid would be kind of scary against, I don't know. So Flint, do you know what you would ban from Patrick's perspective?
Yeah, I think initially I was thinking about striking Landstill, but I think that he may have to strike Hermit Druid because Michael Arnold's version, I mean, I don't like Shallow Grave as much either, and I think the chat mentioned that, because you can't flashback the ball therapy, but what he can do is he can Shallow Grave or Hermit Druid into play and activate it immediately, and unless Patrick is on Oath with Swords or Oath with Swords, he's pretty much dead to a Sutured Ghoul at that point. It's going to swing in and kill him. So I think that's probably actually the scariest deck, even though Landstill is a hard deck to beat.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if he thinks that he can play the Zombie Infestation against Hermit Druid, and I think he's going to ban the Landstill. I'm going to go for that, I guess, just also for the sake of being different. I think he's going to ban Landstill, think his Sly deck's going to get banned, and take the Zombie Infestation. So from Michael's perspective, what do you think he's going to ban?
If I'm Michael, I probably ban Burn,
agree.
because it's just got so much game against all of his decks, even against Landstill with like the Ankh of Mishras.
Okay, so let's jump over to the match. You want to let them know that they can get started?
Yep, I'll message them right now.
And we'll figure out what decks they're on, and we'll we'll get things going. Okay, so just waiting for. I didn't see any cards. Okay, so it looks like a burn deck. Looks like the. Okay, so we've got Patrick on the burn, so we missed that one, I guess.
Yeah, we did. I'm looking it up. So it looks like Patrick Patrick banned Hermit, and Mike banned Zombie Infestation.
Interesting. Okay. So we kind of got the classic matchup of Sly versus Blue White Landstill. So
Yeah,
the only difference, I guess, is this is a matchup where you really like a turn one Black Vice is very, very punishing.
yeah, it's a really good start.
Though Michael's list does have 3 main deck disenchant. So in terms of decks of Landstill versions, I mean Mike has some options. Is that a Wasteland came
There it
down?
is.
Okay.
There's the disenchant.
So I'm guessing he did that during his upkeep. How much damage did he take? Or was it the end
So
of turn?
it's during
Okay.
during Patrick's turn right now.
All right. Well, he's at 13. Okay. I'll update Michael's deck list. So if you want to do some commentary quick.
Sure. So we got a Flooded Strand from Mike Arnold here on during his turn. Patrick swinging in with 2 Mog Fanatics. It's going to put Mike Arnold down to 11. He follows it up with a Mountain. Looks like a nice Ice Age Mountain, perhaps. And that's it for the turn. So Plains here from Mike Arnold. Looks like he's probably just going to pass. Yep, Incinerate at the end of turn. So Patrick's going to try to play the instant game. Mike's going to sack down to 10.
Yeah, from this spot, like
Absorb.
Patrick has not used that many cards, and I guess he only has 2 left. All right.
He's got 2.
I say the pressure that he has in play is not that big, but I mean those can deal 2 extra damage at any point. But yeah, I guess this is where having 4 absorbs, I guess, really okay. So it's just a counter spell.
Yeah, counter.
So I guess I mean if Patrick's paying attention, then he should know that Michael does not have an absorb in his hand right now, because that would be the time to cast it.
Oh, absolutely. Unless does he run swords?
He does, but I don't think you would want a swords. I think you would just save it for a ball lightning probably.
Yeah, he might save a swords in his hand, in case, Patrick follows it up with a Mountain and a Ball Lightning.
I guess
that would be a reason.
Okay.
Yeah. Robin, I think you may have, but we'll let the other viewers decide and see how the match goes. Mike Arnold's down to 5 after another swing from the Fanatics. And end of turn Impulse.
Okay. So what do you think Mike's looking for?
He's probably looking for. Oh man, I don't know.
Because from this spot, it's almost okay.
He's in
I guess
a
that's
really
actually,
bad
that's.
spot.
Well, I guess there's a wasteland already. So, like, I think Patrick should just not play spells. Oh, well, I guess if he had absorb mana up, so I guess it's fine now. But I mean, if you're just able to pressure Michael without playing any spells, and then
There's
you
the
can just kind of
Incinerate.
force the issue. But here, yep.
Yeah, skips him up. Yep. Well played.
All right, so Quick and Furious win goes to the red deck.
All right, let's talk sideboards.
Yes. Let's go back to the decks. And looking at the land still, what would you want to bring in? I can see 1 card, 2 card.
You got it up here?
Yes. I definitely want to bring in Exalted Angel. The thing is, like, you definitely look at Circle Protection Red, but then we talked about how many different damage sources from artifacts. There's Cursed Scroll, there's Ankh of Mishra, and there's Black Vice that all deal colorless damage that go through a circle of protection red. I mean, I think you still already bring it in. And you
Yeah, I
probably
think you
just
still bring it in.
take out counter spells because it's almost like a proactive counter. It's that I do believe that is Aegis of Honor. So I don't even remember what that one is.
I think it's the next time a source is going to deal damage to you, it deals damage to the player. If it's like a red or a black source, maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Aegis of Honor is a white mana for an enchantment. You pay colorless. The next time an instant or sorcery would deal damage to you this turn, that spell deals that damage to its controller instead. So that seems like a card that comes in.
Yeah, that circle protections and then the angel for sure. Do you bring in the dismantling blow?
Well, wait. I'm looking at that card again. Do I have that wrong? This looks like a different art. Is that not with the card that's in his list?
I think it was originally in Odyssey.
Yeah, that's the one version I'm looking at. People are saying Funeral Pyre, but that doesn't make sense for the... Is that... Oh, I guess he does have Cunning Wish. It's... Okay, I guess it is... Okay. Maybe it is just a Funeral Pyre.
It's a funeral pyre, yeah. Okay.
Alright. Yeah, so that's just kind of an instant speed way to get something with Cunning Wish. So... I'm definitely bringing
Circle
in
of
Exalted
Protection,
Angel and the Circle of Protection.
Exalted Angel. Do you bring in the... is that Energy Flux?
Oh, I mean, that's interesting. There are 2 copies of Energy Flux. Probably. I think so. I guess it like kind of shores up a weakness that you have. I think you take out...
What do you take out?
Wrath of God's not very good. There's like 2 Grim Lavamancer and Mog Phonetics and Ball Lightnings. I think I would take those out. I'm going to quick pull up the burn deck to see if there's anything crazy that we're missing in the sideboard. So
I think Chad said he's already sideboarded.
Yeah, I mean, if he just didn't do anything, he'd probably be fine. Price of Progress, I'm trying to think how many non-basics are in Mike's list. But Pyroblast was a card you probably want to bring in, but it's kind of like, what card do you want to take out? I mean, Shock is probably the least powerful card.
Flaring Pain is nice too, but it's just a question of whether or not it's worth it.
Yeah, I guess Volcanic Hammer is probably the other card that's like the slowest. I mean, unless he's like, it would seem crazy to me if he's taking out some of the artifact damages, but maybe it's a mind game thing, given that they know the deck lists.
Yeah, I think you bring in Price of Progress for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna just bring up. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's 11.
8. Yeah, are there only 3 factories? So there's 11. Yeah, because I'm not counting Flood
Wait.
Strand.
Does he have 2 Dust Bowls or something in there as well?
Oh yes, so 13.
So it's actually 13 lands.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Price is good.
Yeah. All right. They can start whenever they're ready. We'll figure
I'll let
out.
'em know.
We'll piece together how they sideboarded. Okay, so sit tight, everyone. This might be another quick game. Here, I'm slouching, so
I
I'm
think
not showing
Michael's hopes it's not, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, because I don't think. Well, I guess there's a situation where Exalted Angel just comes down. I mean, it probably has to be turn 6, but and then just runs away with the game. The game could end quick if that's the sequence of plays. But other than that, if Mike's gonna win, then it's gonna be going long.
Looks like Patrick is mulliganing, probably hoping to play another turn on Black Vice.
Well, there aren't any other with fetch lands. They only get basics. There aren't any Ravnica duels or original dual lands, so fetch lands only get basics in this format.
Yep. All right, we got one on the bottom there.
Okay.
Excellent.
I think the best card that Patrick can start with is Black Vice. There's no Jackal Pup, so that might be that would have been my other choice, maybe.
Your pet card, pun intended.
Yeah. You're talking about the red deck. That's the card I want to have on turn 1. Here's a Grim Lavamancer, so
It's pretty good.
it's. I mean, of his turn 1 plays, it's probably the weakest, but I wouldn't be complaining.
Beats for 1.
All right.
Michael Arnold is down to 19. And a turn shock. So he left the shocks in.
All right. Shock puts him.
And then a bolt.
17.
Manually for the bolt. So,
Okay.
Yep.
So, trying to think. So it'd be interesting to see the cards that, if we do see sideboard cards, what cards he's taking out. Because I would have thought Shock would have been the first card. Here's a Curse Scroll. So that
Really nice, though.
There's an advantage for mulliganing. You get down to 1 card quicker. So your Curse Scroll will always hit. I think we had a tournament on the weekend, and I think someone was playing the foreign version of Curse Scroll, but I know one of them shows the activation cost of it 2 instead of 3. But you don't play the cards as written. We do play with the Oracle text. So, all right, we talked about the possibility of energy flux. Oh, I missed the life gain.
Yeah, that's swords on the Lavamancer.
But energy flux, this is the Mercadian Masks version. It's gonna make Patrick pay for his cards every turn. So is this just during his upkeep? Is he activating Scroll? Is that where we're at?
I think so.
So he's just looking for a 50% chance of dealing damage. I mean, maybe he has 2 mountains in his hand. I don't know. So I think
So he's letting it die.
Is
Yeah.
that what he named to the life total get adjusted?
Yeah, Michael's at 14.
14. Okay, I missed one then. And Patrick's at 21. Okay. I guess I have their. Maybe I can flip the screen because I have it reversed
There's
right
the
now.
standstill. Standstill with absorb mana up. Oof.
All right, there we go. Now we can read his life total on stream. All right, so from the spot, if Patrick's flooding,
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for Michael.
yeah, like I think he's advantaged from the spot.
Absolutely. Let's drop that angel with counterspell back up, and Patrick can scoop him up.
Would you trigger a standstill to put an angel in play?
Oh no.
So the appropriately named standstill, really can force players into saying draw go, draw go, draw go. But that really just advantages Michael. There are certain situations with the red deck where if the landstill deck is tight on mana, that you're okay saying, okay, I'll play this draw go game because I know it's going to come to a point where I'm going to have to unleash a bunch of burn spells at the end of your turn, and you're going to be tight on mana. And I don't care if you have extra cards. I'm just trying to resolve 2 spells. But we're not in that situation with Mike at 14.
Yep. Well, we'll see what he does. Is Michael hitting his land drops? No.
No, but I mean, there's. All right, so he's just casting a fire blast, doing it the hard way. He'll trigger standstill.
Yep.
Have you ever cast a fire blast for its actual mana cost?
I have.
Yeah, I did too in one of the monthlies.
So there's the absorb back up to 17.
All right.
Michael Arnold.
So yeah, so he's got a discard because Patrick did this at the end of turn. So that's also kind of a way to negate the the effects of standstill is do it at the end of the turn, because
Yep.
basically the 3 cards are just going to be, you improve your card quality and not quantity if you already have 7 cards in hand.
Looks like he's tapping for 2 red, and then he's going to sack to pay the alternate cost.
Okay.
So Mike Arnold sacks his fetch land and goes to 16.
Is he's gonna respond before the land?
Yeah, he's going to respond before the fetch land resolves with an incinerate.
Okay.
So he goes down to 13.
So he used his red mana. The Fire Blast is still on the stack.
Yeah.
Michael's going to be able to resolve his fetch land trigger because he's looking to get. It could just be an island for counterspell, or it could be. Oh, ooh, interesting. So here.
Price of Progress.
For 6. Is that where we're at?
It would be 6. Yeah.
Okay.
Goes to 11 for 2 blue to play a counterspell.
That makes sense. But now he's saying I have a Fire Blast. That's going to resolve. Well, Patrick's made good work out of the situation.
Absolutely.
Especially because
Well played.
It looked like he just had a bunch of lands in his hand when he had like the curse scroll in play, and just I guess a bunch of turns went by, but it just wasn't that much time, so it doesn't seem like that many turns. But his hand really improved, and he's
got 3 mana up too.
Yeah, he picked a neat spot to, or he forced the issue from Mike, and then is throwing out a bunch of burn spells, trying to overload, like we talked about, overload the mana that Mike needs to answer.
Yeah, Mana Leak doesn't do it here because Patrick can pay for it. It's got to be just another hard counter. Yep, it is.
So that's it. He didn't have to take any damage for that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, awesome. So this gives an opportunity for Ball Lightning to come in.
What a turn.
How many spells were cast that turn? 2 Fire Blast, Incinerate, Price of Progress, Ball Lightning, Counterspell.
I think the first Fire Blast was last turn.
Oh, okay.
It was the end of Michael's turn.
It was a lot. Oh, and now a very untimely Circular Protection.
Yep.
I'll bring that one up.
Curse Scroll?
No, the
Black Ice.
Circle Protection. Oh, yeah. So how many cards does Michael have in his hand?
I don't know. He played a lot of counter spells, so
Yeah. So
looks like
Patrick
he has
will have
4.
to use his mana every turn to keep this up through the energy flux, but he's in a spot where he can do that. An impulse and a turn from Michael. So
for that disenchant.
it could just be like Decree Justice or Exalted Angel might be okay too. Depending on, because he doesn't look like he has that many cards in the hand. So if he's able to apply pressure and kind of close out the game, then maybe he can stay under this Black Ice. But because he's kind of protected from all the other burn spells with the protection from red, or Circle of Protection red.
Takes a point, goes to 4. And he did get the disenchant.
Okay. So I guess how many cards are in his hand? I guess if he would have taken a damage from the.
I think there were 4 in his hand. I think.
Because then he had the option to not take a damage, right?
Yeah.
He could have untapped and then used the Coastal Tower instead of the Attica Waste. So he's either. Yeah. So I get that would be a decision that maybe will be interesting to see if that comes up later. He's able to attack with the Mishra's Factory.
Yep. So Patrick's down to 19.
All right. And then a Wasteland comes on. All right.
Very nice.
That'll at least answer the factory. I guess there is an argument. I guess with the Flooded Strand, I probably wouldn't do it, but if the Flooded Strand hadn't come down, you could have made the argument of going after the Coastal Tower and trying to cut him off white mana, because the white mana is a pain source, and you might be able to win the game that way. But he uses the Wasteland for Mishra's Factory.
There is the possibility that Patrick boarded in one Flaring Pain,
Sure.
which would be interesting if he gets Michael in a spot where Michael thinks he can prevent all the damage.
Mm-hmm. So we're at 17-4. The edge is to the land cell player from the spot. You would agree, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I still agree.
What sequence of draws does Patrick need to win this game, do you think? Because it either needs to be an unbelievable amount of spells because of Circle Protection Red, or artifact spells like Anka Mishra might be, but also in the spot like Michael might not have to play any more lands. So I don't know. I think Curse Scroll maybe might be the best card.
Yeah, I think Scrolls and Vices are the best draws for Patrick.
But Curse Scroll,
Unless he has a Flaring Pain. Because then he can just play all his burn spells and then...
Yeah, that changes things a lot. But yeah, even with a Curse Scroll, he has to pay 2 every turn, and if he's drawing cards, then it's not a sure hit for the Curse Scroll.
It's fair.
All right, I had missed attack before, but now
Patrick's down to 8.
Down to 8. Oh, because a Fairy Conclave and a Pump. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I missed the Fairy Conclave coming in. So yeah, there is not a lot of time. It's 2 turns, because he could attack for 6 at most next turn. Oh no.
Yep.
Did a burn spell come?
2, 4, 6.
Oh, that's okay. Never mind. So what was? Oh, all right, a Mog Fanatic is what's going to break the standstill.
Mog Fanatic's going to take one for the team.
So there's a Curse Scroll. So there is quite a lot of mana tapped. So is there a spot like, okay, I guess not. I was thinking if you could get Michael to tap out, could you resolve like a Price of Progress or something to win the game?
So Patrick can activate that scroll twice. Michael has to counter this, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So did he fetch or not? I thought there was.
No, he didn't. I think he took a pain from a Darker Wastes. He went to 3, and then he absorbed back up to 6.
So the Fanatic is an answer to the Fairy Conclave. It also could block the Mishra's Factory for a turn.
Mm-hmm. Wow, he's coming in with the Conclave as well. And you just block a factory and shoot the fairy.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're going to
I
get much
think
more
you just
value
attack with
out
both
of.
factories.
You're not going to get much more value out of the Mog Fanatic. So he's
going to bolt factory.
Yeah, unless he's just planning on making Mike tap a mana to prevent it. So did any damage get through? No, not in that turn. So there's a Black Vice. So a counter
There's
spell.
the counter. Oh, wow. Great draw from Patrick, but when you're drawing 6, 8 extra cards a turn or a game or whatever, it's easy to have the counter magic.
Yeah. There's a Dust Bowl. Not particularly good in this matchup. So
you can Dust Bowl your own land so you can get Price of Progress.
That's a reasonable line. It does something. Okay. 2 damage. So we're all tied up. So it's 50-50 who wins, right?
Yes, totally.
So we haven't seen Pyroblasts.
No. Michael goes to 5 to second fetch land.
Do you think that's ever... Because the problem is if you're going for like the Pyroblast plan, if a Circle Protection is in play, then your Pyroblasts are really bad because you're waiting to build up that one fight to use Pyroblast.
All right, he skips him up. It's a decree. Do you think Patrick brings in Pyrostatic Pillar? Wait, I guess we didn't talk about that card.
Let's go back to deck lists. That is reasonable. The only thing it's not good against is the Circle Protection red. But I mean, it is a card. So Pyrostatic Pillar is a 2-mana enchantment, and whenever a player casts a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, they take 2 damage.
I mean, that's like almost every single card in Michael's list.
Yeah, that actually, it's kind of
Could
like
be really good.
Yeah, it might be better than like Mog Fanatic. Now that I think about it.
All right, so we're all tied up at 1-1.
But so, are the Pyroblasts good enough here? I mean, obviously it's kind of, you think it's great, but it's kind of like I was talking about a situation where you're trying to save up the situation where you want to Pyroblast something, but if Michael has a Circle Protection red in play, then it's kind of just all for nothing. And then you also have these cards where you're trying to draw burn spells and you're drawing Pyroblasts. But I feel like you need to. I don't know. So I feel like the cards I would take out are the Shock would be first. Is it just one Shock? I feel like the Volcanic Hammers, but maybe even the Mog Fanatics, because they are kind of clunky. They don't, or not clunky, but they just get, I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, we should definitely ask Patrick what he decided to do, what his rationale was. It looks like they're shuffling up here. Michael's set with his hand. Patrick's about to look at his.
Okay, so let's jump back over to the match.
Chat, who's going to win? Predictions.
Yeah.
Type land still or burn with your prediction.
I have to get the edge to burn. Oh, it's a Mog Fanatic and not a Black Vice, so I guess I was thinking if it were a Black Vice, then it would be pretty good. We got 1 vote for burn. Burn on the play. Island Go is what Michael has. So,
It's in for 1. Monk Fanatic doing work. See, you wanted to board it out, Mike. Follows it up with Curse Scroll and a Mountain. Michael fetches and goes to 18.
so sometimes it's kind of telling. I don't know if you can really take any information from it, but like whether you're getting blue or blue-white.
So he's probably got a Mana Leak and or an Absorb.
Or Disenchant.
Or Disenchant. Yeah.
Circle of Protection red. I don't know.
There it is.
All right. That's a card that Patrick does not want to see. I think because now I guess if Michael doesn't have a lot of mana, then there's definitely hope that Patrick can chip away at life totals. So it's not the end of the end of the game. It's not end all be all, I guess. Plus, I don't know. I feel like those Flaring Pains, if they're in there, then Patrick's hoping to draw that.
Ball Lightning.
Sulfuric Vortex.
No.
So this is an interesting interaction with Circle Protection red. So it says that players can't gain life, but it does not say that damage can't be prevented. So Michael has the option to pay 1 mana during his upkeep to prevent the damage that the Vortex deals. And that was what he does.
Yeah.
So sometimes this could backfire where now Michael's on a clock, but I mean, I still
Patrick's on the clock too.
that's what I meant. Yeah, that if you're able to prevent the damage, that now Patrick's on a clock from Michael. Yeah, because of that card. Yeah, so Patrick takes 2. Ooh, a wasteland, but that's a fetch land and not a sky cloud expanse. Ooh, do you want to? So here's a kind of cat and mouse game. Is like, do you want to prevent a damage? Because then, if you use it, then it might give the opportunity for Patrick to resolve burn spells that deal 3 damage or 4 damage. But if you don't prevent it with circle protection, then you might just get your life chipped away, and you might find yourself at too low of a life total. So it looks like he fetched an island and then prevented the 1 damage from the Monk Fanatic. And then it looked like Patrick said go.
Yeah, I think he did. Yep, Michael's untapping here. So he's got the Vortex trigger, pays it. So is it a Flaring Pain? Damage can't be prevented this turn.
Interesting that... I don't know
Takes
if
14.
Seems like an interesting spot to use that in. I feel like I would want to try and do it on... I mean, maybe he has a bunch of burn spells he's going to want to use.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my guess if he's using it now.
I feel like I would want to wait for that card. Like, I feel like you can get more than 2 damage out of a Flaring Pain.
Incinerate. Can't prevent it. Michael tries to prevent it and can't.
Okay. So I guess Michael's at 11. I mean, that's I guess a lot further down than I might expect. 11, and now Patrick's at 16.
He's gonna scroll end of turn maybe.
This isn't end of turn. This is upkeep.
Oh, okay.
And he reveals a price of progress.
Got it. Missed that. Sorry. Am I laggy?
No. So Michael's at 9. Then Patrick attacks with the Mog Fanatic, and Michael says, "Okay, I have blue up. I'm going to use the white mana to prevent the damage from the Mog Fanatic." This is interesting. So there's a price of progress and a Flaring Pain. So there aren't any non-basics for Michael. So that might be an
Two
off
wastelands
retention.
in
I was
play.
like, I want to put more lands into play so that I can use Circle Protection Red more, but I know that he has. So he's using the other half of the Flaring Pain again. This is for the. So Michael tried to prevent the damage from the Vortex, but in response. So does it go on the stack? Are you able to respond with Flaring Pain? Or could you
Yes.
okay. I just wasn't sure if Michael had to commit the mana or not. So a Flooded Strand is in play.
So we're gonna see upkeep scroll here again.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that card's doing a lot of work because it's a colorless source of damage that Michael can't do anything. So Michael needs to do something quick. And like we talked about Exalted Angel in earlier games, but that card's not effective when there's a Sulfuric Vortex in play. Hog Fanatic comes over. Because if
Prevents it.
yeah. So here's the only awkward spot of you using the Flaring Pain so frequently, or so. I guess he has too many recurring sources of damage. I think that Michael's mana is taxed too much. So I guess that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think it's just really hoping to race here, right? Like the longer this game goes, the worse it gets for Patrick, especially with that circle in play.
I mean, he has 3 recurring sources of damage in play. So, and one of them's colorless, and one of them can do a point of damage over 2 sources or 2 times. So there's a lot of the mana that Michael has is very limited. And plus, like if those Flooded Strands are there, those are almost like
It's a shock.
for them in play. That's a problem because of price of progress. and with them fetching, they also take damage. So they're kind of almost better in his
Patrick's down
hand.
to 12.
They're almost better in his hand at this point. I think they're actually a liability to have on the battlefield.
Hmm. This is a much more interesting land still burn matchup than the one that happened earlier today. $17 viewers still. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. A lot of interesting decisions that Mike Arnold has to make here.
Yeah.
What's Patrick's best draw, do you think? Another Flaring Pain?
Yes, I think so. Beyond that, it might just be Mog Fanatic, because it deals a damage twice, like for only 1 mana.
So he does fetch.
So
Does that put him to 2, though?
Yes, I
Was-
have him at 2. Because he was at 5 and he took. Okay, he adjusted it now.
Okay. I mean, that's an important number to be at with the Curse Scroll in play.
And a Sulfuric Vortex.
Maybe someone's phoning him and saying, no, don't go to 2 life. Don't do it.
Is he just calling a Lifeline? It's like Lifeline doesn't work with Sulfuric Vortex in play for sure, right? He's got to take the call. Maybe.
Gosh.
This is a good way
okay.
to build suspense. All right.
All right, we got to take a 5-minute quick break. Sounds
right.
like an emergency.
I'm gonna bring up the player.
Got a commercial break. Cut the commercial break. Quick.
So maybe a little more time. So I think we went through most of these, but so Lightning Angel is a card that I would love to see in Premodern, but yeah, it's 3 colors and it's 4 mana, and I don't know. It's just an awesome card, but yeah, I don't know if it's good enough. But Goblin Bombardment, I think, is much closer to the edge of playable than the Lightning Angel. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Goblin Bombardment is probably more playable. We played the other night, right? And there was the Pebbles deck I was playing, which is by no means tier 1 or even tier 1.5, but it's in a deck that can do a turn 4 kill.
Oh, go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say, and running like the Jeskai or the red, white, and blue decks is so difficult in this format, just given the mana that you have to work with.
So you interpreted this question as, would you rather fight 1 12/12 Psychotog or 100 1/2 Dreadnoughts?
I mean, I'm saying maybe people interpreted it that way, but yeah, I mean, the Dreadnought is huge.
Yes. If you look at the art of that card, there is a person on that art for scale, and it's quite
Yes.
large. I don't know if in any of the arts of Psychotog, if there's anything to scale, because I feel like one of them, he's just kind of in like the ice mountain. It's very zoomed up of him smiling. And then there's a newer version of him just kind of like standing on the ground. So, but
You know what's bigger than a Dreadnought, right?
no.
Was it the BFG in Unglued?
Yes.
The big furry monster or whatever?
I have one half of those.
BFM, whatever. He has Dreadnoughts and Krakens for earrings.
Yes.
BFM, is that it? Big BFM?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. If we ever get to meet up in person and play my Unglued Unhinged cube, yeah, one half of him is in there, and if you draft him, you get the other half.
Oh, okay. I was to say, otherwise that card would not be very good to draft.
It'd be real bad. Yeah.
Not only you have to draft both, but you have to get them both. So in the draft, they both go in your deck, or is it just like a 12 mana 99/99? Like, are they always stable together? Like when you draw it in your hand in the game, do you get both, or is it just
you have to draw them both?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but you don't have to draft them both.
All right, fair enough.
Very easy to cast with the Mox Lotus.
All right, chat. It's the burning question of the night. Would you rather fight 1 Phyrexian Dreadnought sized Psychotog or 100 Psychotog sized Dreadnoughts? Did you answer this question, Flint? I don't remember if I asked you earlier this.
I think that I would rather fight the Psychotog.
I would rather fight 100 little. I'm like I was thinking a Psychotog was like maybe like the size of like half of me, like 2 and 3 feet. I don't know. I imagined it pretty small, but maybe I'm underestimating the size of a Psychotog. Though I guess even a little Phyrexian Dreadnought would be pretty fierce. It's kind of like in Ninja Turtles, like the Chompers, like the, you know what I'm talking about, the little robotic.
Oh, the chain. No, not chain chomp. That's Mario. But yeah, the chompers, the mousers. They're called mousers.
Mousers. That's kind of what I envisioned, like 100 Psychotog sized dreadnoughts.
Little Dr. Teeths.
I mean, like maybe you make the argument that like one massive Psychotog is like pretty slow and lumbering, but I don't know. Like, just the nature of I associate I don't think Psychotog is like a dumb card. Like if Psychotog were big, I don't think he's like a troll kind of thing, like where he's stupid. I think Psychotog is a smart creature. I don't know. So I'd be pretty scared of a very imposing Psychotog. There's no way you're gonna be able to defeat one giant Psychotog, right? Like
Maybe if you had a Goblin Bomb.
I don't know, but like you might be able to run away from the Psychotog, but I felt like you might be able to beat 100 little dreadnoughts. I don't know.
Perhaps. All right.
So do you think any of the familiars are playable in Premodern?
I don't know. I mean,
which is the best one?
I like the Nightscape familiar a lot.
That's the black one?
Yeah.
So that makes blue and red spells. All right. Looks like Michael's
all right.
Down.
Michael's back. All right. Let's go. Let's return to the players.
He just wanted to live longer. I think maybe that's what he was doing.
All right. We're back in the action here. All right. So is this the end of turn spell here? Decree?
I don't know. So, okay, I guess he's leaving up one.
If you're Patrick, do you play the Price of Progress right now?
Yeah, because and then you have a Monk Fanatic. He's Price of Progress, and then he has to.
You just lose. Michael just loses, right?
Yes.
Because he Price of Progresses, he has to sack his land or he dies, and then he kills him with Fanatic. It's game over.
Yep. I think that's what Patrick's kind of deducing right now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're asking of like, oh no.
Price of Progress first.
Price of Progress that deals Patrick 4.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
And then, yeah, it's game.
They're asking for judge help.
Okay, well, I'm going to unmute him here. Will you mute us on the stream for a second?
I will mute you, yes, and then you can figure out what's going on. Okay, so I'll interpret. I can hear what Flint is asking. So yeah, my understanding is he could cast the Price of Progress now. Mike would not want to take 2 damage, so he would sacrifice the Flooded Strand and go to 1. And then before a land comes into play, Michael would be able to deal damage. Oh, I think they're asking if you already used the Circle Protection Red on a Mog Fanatic earlier in the turn, if it would apply for later when you activate it. That one I'm not sure about. Yeah, I think what is he already used Circle Protection Red once on the Fanatic, so he's wondering if it gets prevented again. I do not know offhand. So prevent all damage against you from 1 red source. If a source deals damage to you more than 1 each turn, you may pay 1 each time to prevent the damage. So, yeah. I mean, unless the Oracle's different, but given that Ice Age printing makes it seem like that this exact scenario is what is happening. So before we make any hasty decisions, we're just going to look this up. I'm going to look up rulings. Maybe this is like a frequently actually. Okay, so a source of damage is a permanent, a spell on the stack, including one that creates a permanent, or any object referred to by an object in the stack. Sources need to be capable of dealing dealing damage to be a legal choice. All right, so these frequent ask questions don't answer it, but did you have any confirmation? Yeah, I think so too. So, all right, I have you unmuted now. So,
All right,
so
I'm gonna silence you guys from on my end. All right, cool. So we're back.
yes. So I think that sequence that we were talking about is going to take place. So here's a price of progress. He says okay.
Yep. So he plays the price of progress, right?
I think he's just choosing to die like that. I don't know. Yep. All right.
Yep. Scoops him up. Wow. Whoo.
Yeah.
Fights through the circle of protection on red.
Yes, that was an interesting match too. Let's
Yeah, that was a very interesting match.
Let's get the players in and quick go over what they took from that. Hold on, let me adjust one thing real quick. I need to switch my source.
All right, I have unmuted you, Michael, and you, Patrick. I think Mike Hoyp is going to do the same.
Now
And
you
we'll
guys
have
are
you chat.
unmuted. So okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So tell us about the match. How did it play out? How did you think it was going to play out, and what kind of was going through your minds there in that game 3?
Oh man, I was just hoping to draw a disenchant. You know, it was. I was on disenchant or bust, and I busted.
No, I really got scared the game too, just because I saw what happens when Mike runs away with card advantage, and I was terrified. So the fact that he was able, I think he got rid of a few of my early threats that didn't really scare me, but you know, when a cursed scroll stuck, I felt pretty good. And forcing him to sink mana into a cop every turn twice, like it adds up. So I figured there was going to be enough pressure that I was able to get through to his life total eventually. But no, like Mike and I were talking about the bans too, and Angry Hermit just had 2 really good matchups versus 2 of my decks, I felt. So I couldn't let that one slide. And then
I felt the same thing kind of against with the zombie infestation. It's like that elves wouldn't have done super great against like another go white strategy. You know, I kind of lose my advantage with that. And you know, then against you know, something like a blue white control, you know, against it, you just have, once you run the zombie infestation, it's a must answer, and you have ways to protect it. So it's just like, yeah, I can't let that one slide either. I was like, I felt that no matter what, I was going to get back into a corner with Patrick's decks, and I think I did, but I was able to pull one game at least.
Yeah. Well, I know the game 1 I was chatting with Mike, I was like, knowing that he was on, I had a 1-lander, but I had a Vice and 2 Mog Fanatics, so whether he was on Elves or whether he was on Control, like it was a good start. And the fact that I was on the play definitely helped a lot.
Absolutely. And we were talking to Patrick. What did you board in? It looks like you put in the pillars, a flaring pain, a price of progress.
Yeah, so it was 2 pillars. The prices were one price was kind of a late addition, just because we do have access to his deck list. He does play, I think, 13 non-basics.
Yep.
And 11 basics.
Quite a bit.
So I thought it was good enough to kind of play some end step games, which we saw was really relevant in the game 2, even though I didn't get it. But I took out basically Volcanic Hammers just because they're sorcery speed, and one of the Ball Lightnings because it's also sorcery speed.
Yep.
But,
And I thought Wrath of God wasn't too great against you. Wrath right there that I could pretty much control your creature board with either Swords to Plowshares or the man lands, blocking and Decree of Justice, because Decree of Justice would block, the Mod Fanatics and everything. So, and Cunning Wish, there wasn't a ton of stuff to Cunning Wish for, so it was like I could do 2, and Decree of Justice again. Probably I'd rather have the second Exalted Angel than Decree of Justice right there, because the life gain played a huge role, in game 2, just being able to stabilize.
And that was something
Absolutely.
I was terrified of. Was that Exalted Angel? I think it was 6 toughness. I've never seen it before. And it needs
4
a lot
5.
of burn spells to die, or whatever it is. It needs 2 spells.
Yep.
But I did notice too that it's a life gain trigger and not life link. So maybe I could do something funny there, but I don't think so. Yeah, I didn't think Pyroblasts were worth bringing in. I didn't think that fighting for one of my 3 mana spells to resolve, I didn't think anything was too backbreaking there to bring in. I think, it's good versus Dreadnought, but I don't think it's good versus Control.
Yeah, initially I just kind of assumed because it's, you're playing against a deck with a bunch of counter spells, you're going to want to use it to fight at the end of a turn. But the way the games did play out or could play out is if you're on that game plan and he resolves a Circle of Protection red, then Pyroblast is pretty bad. Because Pyroblast is typically you're waiting for the games to go longer and then pick a spot where you're trying to do something at the end of turn and counter the counter spells. But if a Circle of Protection is in play, then he can just, I don't need to counter anything, I can just prevent it. And Pyroblast doesn't do anything in that aspect.
That's fair.
Well, good times.
Well,
I think
really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really fun to watch. Really interactive. You guys had to think a lot. Patrick wasn't down and out, even though you played Circle of Protections. So, kudos for the win, Patrick, but also, Michael, I think, you played well as well. And you just kind of got overwhelmed and a little unlucky in that 3rd game too.
My kingdom for a disenchant.
So did you keep one in the board and as a wish target?
Yeah, so basically that does up my count at that point. So I effectively had 5, disenchants. With that, I think it's a lot better leaving it in the board than trying to bring it in.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Cool. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap up, guys?
Mike is a swell guy, and I like him.
I like Patrick. Patrick's a good guy. And thanks again, Flynn, Mike, for putting this on. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I echo that.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to bring up...
See you next time, guys.
Have a good night, Michael. Have a good night, Patrick.
I'm going to bring up the schedule for what we have upcoming the rest of this week. So we saw Robin fell to Mike, and then Patrick defeated Michael. So on Wednesday, we have a continuation, episode 4 of the Premodern Showdown series. And we have Ron facing off against David. And then the late night match is Jared against Andrew. So is there anything you're looking forward to next week offhand? Can you think of what, is there a deck you want to see?
For Wednesday?
Remember? Yeah, for the Wednesday matches.
It would be kind of cool to see one of the Angry Ghouls. So if Jared ends up playing that would be pretty sweet. Andrew-wise, the Blue-Green Enchantress is a fun deck to kind of watch go off because it kind of explodes out of nowhere. It's a little different than the traditional version that runs white. In terms of the match between Ron and David, Please God, Not Stasis. I'd actually like to see Ron play Reanimator. He's a very good Reanimator player, and with the Worldly Tutor, that could be a fun one to watch. And then with David, I really want to see his Mana Flare deck. There's the Mana Flare deck you and I ran that you kind of built based off of Chris McDaniel's list, but he uses Diminishing Returns and a couple other cards, so I think it might be fun to kind of see that that go.
That one would be fun. Yeah. I'm kind of looking to see the Blue-Green Enchantress deck, I guess. I don't know if it'll get banned or not, but that's what I'm looking forward to. That's out of Andrew. And yeah, Mike brought up that the first pre-modcast brawl is on Wednesday, Jared against Andrew. It's the first time that it's an all pre-modcast player or host brawl. So we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, for being active in chat. for supporting the show. We appreciate it. We're having a lot of fun. We hope that we're providing some great pre-modern content and keeping you guys entertained throughout these weeks. So is there any last words you want to have, Flint?
Thanks again to everyone for sticking around, for participating. It's really fun to do this on our end, and I'll echo you, Michael, and just say I hope that you all are finding some value in it as well.
All right. So once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you on Wednesday. We'll be going live at 9:30 Eastern. Until then, take care, everyone.